Hi, my name is Devrat Vaishnav, and from today onwards, we are starting our new lecture series of Maritime Law. Okay, now some of you will ask me why we are studying Maritime Law. Basically, because Maritime Law is affecting all of us. For example, few weeks back, we came across a news that a ship was stuck in Suez Canal. Okay, Ever Given. The name of the ship was Ever Given, and that ship was stuck in Suez Canal. So basically, people were talking, economists were talking, legal jurists, they were talking that okay, because of that incident, the prices of goods will rise. Why? Because of that incident, Suez Canal was blocked, and 300 ships were waiting on either side of that canal. Okay, and because of that incident, the movement of the goods, okay, the transportation of goods, they were halted. And because of that halt, because of that incident, the prices of the goods, they actually rised by 10 to 20%. Okay, we all know the basic law of economics. If something is scarce, then the price of that thing will rise. So if anything is happening in the sea regarding transportation of goods, that is going to affect you as well as me. Okay, so each and every individual is going to be affected if anything is happened at the sea regarding transportation of goods. So that is why maritime law is important for each of us. Okay, we have to understand what are the workings of maritime law. Okay, and I know that students, they sometimes feel irritated while studying maritime law, because obviously maritime law is not easy. Maritime law is a very broad law. It includes various kind of things. Okay, but before we move into that, I would like to tell you that this video is brought to you all by LedX organization. LedX is an online legal learning platform where you can watch all these kinds of videos. So make sure to watch the rest of the videos, okay, and gain knowledge. Okay, so let's start today's lecture. In this video lecture series, we will talk about general maritime law, okay, basic concepts of maritime law. And this course is divided into 5 modules. So what are those 5 modules? Let me discuss all these modules one by one. Okay, so the first module will be introduction to maritime law. Okay, where we will explore maritime law. The second module will be maritime contracts. The third module will be United Nations Conventions on Law of Seas. The fourth module will be maritime laws in India, and the fifth and the last module will be maritime fishing legislations. Okay, so what we are going to discuss: introduction to maritime law. Basically, we will talk about maritime law, its definitions. Obviously, we have already explored that whenever you're trying to find a definition, especially in the legal field, you're going to find multiple definitions. Okay, and you cannot say that okay, this definition is right, that definition is wrong. So we have to study all the definitions. We will explore that okay, what this legal jurist is saying, what this legal jurist is saying, what are the elements in this definition, what are the characteristics of this definition, and then we're going to compare. Okay, we're going to discuss about legal definitions of maritime law, as well as the history and development of maritime law, because law is not going to come into existence like this. Okay, if you're enacting a law, you have to look at the precedents, you have to look at the previous cases, you have to justify that okay, why we need this kind of law. You also have to look at the future impacts of that law. So we have to look into the history and development. But before we move into that, we have to discuss that okay, what is maritime law basically. Okay, what are its contents? Okay, what are the parties of maritime law? And we are going to discuss all these things. But before that, okay, some of you may be wondering that why we should study maritime law. Okay, why maritime law is important. So basically, if you suppose, okay, if you're from law background, if you're from legal field, and if you're thinking about doing a specialization, then maritime law is emerging field, and it is a relatively various companies nowadays, they require maritime lawyers. Okay, they require maritime attorneys, because I've already told you that 80 to 90% of commercial goods, okay, they are transported via sea. So because of that, there are a lot of shipping companies, and these companies, they require a maritime attorney, okay, in order to see their, in order to draft their contracts, in order to file cases, in order to see that okay, they are following proper regulations, etc., in order to do compliance work. So maritime law is an emerging field, and if you are doing a specialization on maritime law, and if you're studying maritime law, it will certainly give you an edge over other fields, okay. In the same time, I'm not saying that other fields are bad, I'm just saying that maritime law is going to give you more opportunities, okay. So this is also another reason to study about maritime law. And if you're talking about maritime law, we have to look at some general concepts. Firstly, about the import export. Basically, when I'm saying that okay, not each and every country is going to produce each and everything, okay, India is not going to produce each and everything, USA is not going to produce each and everything. Some things are exclusive to some countries. Basically, for example, India is importing a lot of electronic goods, a lot of weapons from foreign countries, and I'm not saying that India is not capable of producing those things, but right now India is having shortages of those things. So India is going to import these things, okay. And if India is producing something at a large quantity, then India is going to import those things. So all this import export, it takes place through seas, okay. 80 to 90% of commercial goods, if you look at a rough estimate, are transported by sea, okay. And maritime law governs all these things. So that's why we are studying maritime law, okay. So let's look at what are the things which we are going to discuss in this course. We are going to talk about the definition of maritime law, and then we are going to talk about basically the parties of maritime law. Basically, if you are forming a maritime contract, we all have studied Indian Contract Act 1872. There should be two parties, there should be consideration, agreement, enforceable by law, should be a lawful activity, all these requirements, okay. We are going to apply all these things into maritime contracts, okay. What are the parties of maritime contract, okay. And apart from that, we are also going to discuss about the jurisdiction. Why? Because maritime jurisdiction is a little bit different from normal jurisdiction. When we are talking about jurisdiction in territorial terms, we know that okay, each district is divided, okay. There are proper territorial boundaries, then there are states, then there are countries, and there are other countries. So by this, jurisdiction is divided in, if you're talking about territorial terms. But it is a little bit hard to determine jurisdiction when a ship is sailing in open waters, because obviously India cannot say that okay, that ship is mine, so I'm going to impose jurisdiction over that ship. No, it's not that easy, it's a little bit complicated, okay. So we have to discuss about jurisdiction, and it is relatively it is relatively a big topic, so we have to study about it in detail. And after that, we also we are also going to discuss some elements of international law. Obviously, we are studying about maritime law, so we are not going to discuss about each and everything of international law, but there are some concepts in international law, and these concepts are related with maritime law, okay. So we have to study about all these concepts, okay, because basically if you are if we are going to skip all these concepts, we will not be able to understand about maritime law properly, because there are some concepts, there are some theories, there are some agreements, some conventions in maritime law which are related with international law. So obviously I'm going to discuss about international law, some theories of international law, some of the jurists of international law, okay, because international law is related with maritime law. And apart from that, we are also going to look at history and development of maritime law, okay, how maritime law came into existence, okay. Before maritime law, what kind of law was there, okay, in order to govern the ships. And apart from that, we will also going to discuss about nature of maritime law. What is the nature of maritime law? What are the characteristics of maritime law? Okay, what are the contents of maritime law, basically. And after that, we will discuss about International Maritime Organization. Okay, International Maritime Organization is very important. Okay, basically, International Maritime Organization governs all these things. So we are going to look at workings of IMO. We are also going to look at what are the committees under IMO, how it came into existence, its history, its development, okay, how it is functioning now, okay, some of the recent cases which are related with IMO. And obviously there is one of the most important topics, and it is also important, if you look at from the exam point of view, the pillars of IMO. Okay, what are the important pillars of International Maritime Organization? Okay, we are only going to discuss about the important pillars. Okay, obviously there are other pillars, but these are not important. So we are going to discuss about the 4 to 5 most important pillars of International Maritime Organization. Okay, one by one.